it's Raquel. Welcome back to Recovery to Wellness. This is where survivors radiate badassery. We're back home in my room. It is currently March 26th, 2024, and I am going to film another Careia video. Whoops-a-daisies. So yeah, I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of words, and I want to share them because I need to get them out of my head. And yeah, so it's actually the day that I filmed my video book review number 5, which is exciting. I actually preface this before we get into the video because, I don't know, anxiety and stalling. But I actually uploaded a video, a photo shoot related video, on Monday, which was interesting because I've never uploaded a video on a Monday before, because I actually edited a video on Sunday, which was good because I went into kind of like a second depressive episode, which was like not fun. But I was at work and it was helpful, and I had a coworker there, so you know, we talked and stuff, and they helped distract me quite a bit, so it was good. And then like Monday was a good day, and I edited a video when I was at home, which is the first time I think I've really edited a video after work, which was really good actually. It happened to be a good kind of sunset kind of day, so it kind of reminded me of a photo shoot that I had done before, apparently back in January of this year, that I never shared. So I just shared some of the photos from that, but not all of them, because there's even more of like the snowstorm itself that I also filmed and photographed, but that's going to come in a separate future video. So let's jump into this video. So much, right? It's probably going to be long, honestly. We'll just right out the gate, it's going to be a long video. I am just so talkative, and I have so much to say, and I'm passionate, and I'm also, how am I feeling? I am feeling passion and anger, like frustration and like bafflement, and also like, no, you're not supposed to do that. And also just really maybe disappointed in a way, and just kind of like, it's so dangerous, and like it just shouldn't happen on the internet, I guess. So if you don't know, where can I start? So I'm Raquel. Hi. I've had a YouTube channel for about 8 years now. Background about me, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. I have been doing advocacy work offline in real life with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the Inner Own Voice presentations, since about 8 years actually too. I have a blog, I write fanfiction, I write Loki-centered Avengers fanfiction as well as House MD fanfiction. I love books. I really enjoy lighthouses and rainbow lighthouses, even though they're technically not a thing, but to me they are, and they would be a logo for Recovery to Wellness. I actually recently rebranded completely from about an idea from 5 months ago that Allison, who's on the Reddit, you know, mentioned to me of changing my channel name, and then I wound up fully rebranding entirely in the last month or so. From Instagram and Discord and a couple other places. I have been a psychiatric patient myself. I've been hospitalized psychiatrically 13 times. I am coming up to about 10 years diagnosed with OCD. I also live with borderline personality disorder, depression, hair pulling and skin picking, and chronic suicidality and self-harm struggles. I work at a psych hospital setting, so I'm biased. I'm very biased about this. I have lived experience. I also work in my career there. I worked as an ROF, helped run the floor for the nurses at the psych hospital for about 1.5 years, and then I transitioned into my current role, which is a group leader, and I've been doing that for 1 year. And since middle of January 2024, I've been working 40 hours a week, and which is the first time I've ever worked 40 hours a week, and it's been really, really good. And you know, there's definitely challenges, of course. Working at a psych hospital, there's challenges, but it's also really like meaningful work. And I think the biggest thing too is like, it's like work where like I can't disclose to the patients, and I wouldn't. You know, I mean, there's been times where I've like mentioned in group, I'm like, oh yeah, so I heard one time that someone once said, and then it's like, sometimes like I'll share it like someone once said that, but it's like, my therapist told me that, or like, I used this before and it's helped me, but like I don't disclose to the patients and stuff. I disclose to some coworkers, but predominantly, and I think working in a psych hospital without the sort of the work of being able to like give a voice or give hope without making it about you is also really interesting, and also something really fascinating from how, you know, different that is to like advocacy work with NAMI kind of work, doing NAMI in our own voice presentations, because that is really focused on me and my I statements and my experiences, what I've lived through, and to have that sort of, I guess, shield in between that, and to sort of be like, you know, if you know, but like also like to give back in a way, and that's so meaningful, is just amazing, honestly. And yeah, that's all I can really say about that. It's meaningful work. It's not always a thanked job, but it is meaningful, and you know, I think that's a really big thing, having meaning and purpose in our work, in our volunteer work or our career, or you know, the things that we find in life, you know, even just books too. I have so many books, and I love books, and I just finished, again, like I told you in the beginning of this, I finished a video book review, and like time is just a gift. And I want to make a joke there, but I don't know if it's appropriate, because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, time is a gift. Let's talk about suicide. But that's kind of what we're going to talk about in this video. So, first of all, if you also live in the U.S., I live in the U.S., and there is the Correctional Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I believe the number is still in use, but I also haven't called in like a long time, like in the like 9 months or so, if I had to guess. But there is the 1-800-273-8255, which I will put on the screen as well, which also is a song by Logic featuring Alicia Cara and Khalid, which I highly recommend. It's such a beautiful song. And I mean, it's like really dark in the beginning, but then it gets better and it's nice. Whenever I get like to depressive episodes, I just want to like lie in bed in the fetal position and listen to that song on repeat, but that's just me. There's also 988, which is a lot simpler, which is for the US, I think it was back in like July 2021, where they transitioned over to 988, where it's like you can call that number, you can text 988. That is like the sort of mental health emergency National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number. You can also text HOME, HOME, or START to 741-741. And additionally, if you want to look up your own sort of local crisis centers or county information, stuff like that, feel free. I can't list a whole link to that, but I'll list the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in the description if I remember, and or post it somewhere, or I can even actually post my post on that, all of that stuff. There's a Trevor Project, there's like the domestic violence, you know, hotline thing. I have a post that I made on Reddit, back on Careia's Reddit, a couple years ago now. So that also has a lot more of that. So I'll link that for sure. So yes, please take care of yourself. And yeah, so now we're going to talk about Careia. So Careia, so many things to say. Careia made a video, and I didn't watch the full video, and I'm probably not going to watch the full video. I got a little bit of the inside scoop of it from Allison, who's on Reddit. I'm on Reddit, by the way. You can find me at my link, and that is always in the description of the videos. Also on like the About Me section. So yeah, she came out with a new video, and it's problematic, but it's Careia, so are we surprised? No. But it is problematic because it's like a 25-minute video. I made it first I made it 30 seconds in before I got like, and then I made about 3 minutes in and I was like, this is not looking too good. And then I made it 5 minutes and 45 seconds in, and then I was like, no, I have to stop. So I, like, for instance, okay, there's so many things, right? There's so many things. We're going to talk a little bit about suicide prevention and like suicide prevention awareness, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of info about it. So, there's such thing, okay, first of all, there's thoughts, and then there's actions. Thoughts are just thoughts. Actions are a whole other thing. So when it comes to suicidality, right, there's something called passive suicidal ideation, or SI, passive SI, and like active SI. I think it's active. I'm a little rusty, but passive SI is more of like, oh, I don't want to be here, or I just want to, fall asleep and never wake up again kind of thing. That's more passive. Active kind of SI is more of like, okay, here's like, now I have a plan. Now I have a method. Here's like, it's more like specific. Basically the biggest thing is like, the more specific a plan is, or the more specific somebody is talking about their ideation, the more concerning it is, right? Also, if the person is like, I'm going to hurt myself either today or tomorrow, like versus like, in the next year, that's also really important. Whether or not they have prior suicidality, like suicide attempts kind of thing. A suicide attempt is like somebody who attempted to take their own life but survived. And then there's completed suicide, or someone who took their own life, or someone who died by suicide, which is completed suicide. Never say that a suicide attempt completed suicide was successful, because that's not helpful. It's very stigmatizing, and it portrays a negative connotation to it. There's also, like, in the US at least, suicide is a public health emergency, public health issue rather than a crime. People commit murder, but suicidality is not a crime, so it's frowned upon to say committed suicide, because really a better terminology would be they took their own life, they died by suicide, they completed suicide, that kind of thing. And then also psych hospitals. So the US mental health system is flawed, and that's why also it's better to call 988, because 911, when police show up for a mental health emergency, there can be a lot of difficulties with that. So 988 is a little bit better, safer, crisis team, that kind of thing. And they'll route to whatever local center you are based on where you're calling from, by the way. Yep, I just got a Charlie horse. I just got a muscle spasm in my foot. I'm trying to think of what's relevant and important. It'll come back. I don't know if it'll come back in time, but it'll come back. So yeah, then there's also psych hospitals. Yeah, there's good ones, there's really great ones out there, there's also really shitty ones. Unfortunately, it is kind of a roll of the dice, kind of you don't know what you're gonna get, in a sense. Because it always depends on where you are in your recovery, where other people, patients, are in their recovery, and the staff that work there. As well as, I'm sure, other factors and such, too. But ultimately, the psych hospital setting is there for stabilization, is to restabilize the patient. Your story does not end at the psych hospital, it only begins at the psych hospital, but all the work that comes into recovery happens outside of the psych hospital. The psych hospital is really only there to restabilize you, to get back to, kind of have resources, outpatient services, that kind of thing. Go to a partial program, a day program, a residential, a long-term program. If you wanted to, you could probably get into advocacy work, things like that. But ultimately, it's just to restabilize the patient. And also, people who go to the psych hospital can have either suicide ideation, homicidal ideation, like sometimes some units, you know, could be some factors of eating disorders, some trauma, needing a medication change, dealing with psychosis, like really disorganized speech, you know, poor ADLs, poor like activities of daily living, like unable to care for the self in a sense. You know, pretty much that. I mean, I think also too, I believe in the US, if you go to the ER, like the physical ER and stuff, and like you say that you're suicidal or whatever, even if you are not, like they're legally bound to have to admit you, I believe. Personally, like, I don't know, you say there's like certain things. And of course, too, I mean, they'll also assess you. Like, the crisis team will assess you, and it's kind of their final say in a sense. I feel like psych hospitals, they're complicated. It's complex. It's not a simple one and cut done kind of deal. And I think that like if you have to go, you have to go kind of thing. Like, it's not like probably the first choice, and there's also like other other beds like CSS units and things like that, like some in between, like not quite full inpatient versus, you know, outpatient and stuff. But anywho, this is a long video, but that's kind of just the gist. I mean, I guess like the ultimate thing is like if you have to go, you should go, because it's better to get help, especially if you're getting help like early on. Like if you haven't like attempted yet, like that's a fantastic time to go. Do it before you do something more traumatic or something more damaging or something more lethal. You don't have to be like so far gone. You don't have to be so far gone down the abyss in order to get help. Like, you are deserving of help. You are worthwhile, and you're important, and your life matters. And you know, these whatever situation is really impacting you negatively, like you've just reached a point where your coping skills aren't enough and you need some additional help from people who can provide that to you. And if that's a psych hospital setting, then that could be a psych hospital setting. Again, they're not all perfect, they're not all great, but it can kind of just restabilize for the bare minimum of like a week or, you know, a couple weeks or, you know, that kind of thing. So it's really important. It's really important to get the appropriate amount of help. So now we're going to shift into back to Careia. So Careia has done a video. I only made it 5 minutes and 45 seconds into the video. But she does this thing where, and this is also based on reports of what Allison has told me as well, from us talking about it on Reddit. Careia does this thing where, like, this is recovery, right? This is recovery. But she, like, takes this bit, the most traumatic part of it, the most fixated on the trauma of it, and decides that is the story she wishes to tell, rather than all of the recovery stuff over here. Because there's a difference between focusing on what happened in the details and the specifics of what happened versus this is how it made me feel. This is what it made me think of. This is what I did in order to cope with that trauma. This is where I go from here. This is where my horizon is going. To inspire, to hope, to produce change or promote change, to evolve, to transform, to be in the metamorphosis. Instead, Careia has focused, from what I gathered in the 5 minutes that I watched, to focus on actions. Which, again, I mentioned this earlier, thoughts and actions are two different things. A thought is just a thought. If you start actually acting on it, you start actually looking for methods online of suicide, methods to hurt yourself, right? You start writing suicide notes, you start scoping out a location, you start maybe behaving more erratically in a sense, maybe more recklessly. You start doing those behaviors, actions and stuff. Those are different than just thoughts. Again, that passive ideation versus more active ideation. And then active ideation with actual action steps, which is a whole other thing. And at that point, if you are a danger to yourself and is deemed that by a team, a professional, then you go into the psych hospital. So, and as I said earlier, psych hospital is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning point, and a lot of the work that goes into staying out of them is done outside of the hospital setting. It's just the little, the seed is planted, right? That big thing, you learn to take just the slivers and focus on those and, overcome those, and then, build other skills and coping and all of these things. What Careia has done in her video, from what I gathered, which could be inaccurate or could it be things, I think she's playing a very dangerous game, because she's taking, sort of portraying actions, right? Actions in a visual format, specifically, and that's just super problematic. And it seems like from what Allison told me when we were talking about, is that Careia is talking about a specific thing that happened to her in her life and how that impacted her. And at the end of the video, she, decides to call someone and talks to someone about it. Again, I think that's that big difference between all the stuff, the actual recovery from a mental health condition or recovery from chronic suicidality, versus focusing on all the suicidality stuff and only that. If you're not going to talk about all this stuff over here, which is probably far more interesting, far more helpful, far more, safe even to talk about, scheme of it, is just a disservice to yourself and what you know versus what you don't know. And also, Careia's never been hospitalized before, so she doesn't know she doesn't know the things, and she doesn't have any educational background, she has no professional experience, she has lived experience, but only her own, and that's, anecdotal evidence can be helpful to a point, but not overall super helpful, not super impactful at least. And she always talks about how, if I could only help one person, but how many people do you have to harm on the way to helping one person, right? And how is it helping them if you're giving them ideas of specific methods? How is that being safe? And also, how is that being respectful either? Because, we talk about, as a group leader, we talk about respect being, how do I say it? Wait, hold on. Respect, we don't talk over each other. We also don't discuss trauma details because those are more appropriate for individual sessions rather than group settings. So no specifics on self-harm, suicide, substances, trauma, that kind of thing. So again, it's also breaking that respect too, because also you're putting it on the internet, right? Anybody can see that at any point in time. It's different if it's in a therapy session or in a hospital setting, because that's controllable, relatively. But putting it on the internet is not controllable, because you don't know who's watching. She says that she's trigger warned a whole bunch of it. She didn't, so I don't understand, unless there's another one later after 5 minutes or 45 seconds. But it's just, overall, I don't know. I might continue rambling, but we're getting close to 30 minutes, so I don't know if it's helpful or not, but I guess my whole point is like, if you want to be a mental health advocate online, don't talk about specifics. Again, the more specific, the more problematic, and the more unhelpful it is as well. Also, if you want to check out, I mean, it's a little specific, but Kevin Hines, his advocacy work, he's a mental health, like, public speaker kind of thing, and he talks openly about his chronic suicidality struggles, in a severe suicide attempt he made when he was young that he survived, and kind of like some of the details around that and stuff, which can be triggering too, but his advocacy work is phenomenal and fantastic. There's also Mark Hennick, who did the TED Talk on Why We Choose Suicide. There's also Andrew Solomon's Depression, The Secret We Share, which is an amazing TED Talk. I mean, there's so many things. Like, I guess for Careia, if she ever watches this, which I don't think she will, there's so many other ways to talk about, like, to show or talk about that kind of stuff, which I don't think we really necessarily need, like, what a day in the life of depression and suicidality is like. I think maybe a day in the life of recovering from chronic suicidality. That's more interesting. I mean, maybe not a day in the life, but like a week in the life of recovering from that, or a month in the life of recovering from that. Like, and then also stating that it is just one person's experience and not a whole collective. At least for me, I don't want to have I don't want my channel and my speck of the internet, especially now at least, my speck of the internet to be like a how-to guide of how to hurt oneself. I don't want that, because the internet already has plenty of that, and we don't really need that. And I think there's just so much more to recovery than the one or collection of traumas, in a sense. There's just so much more to life than just mental health. And, that's something that's really important and impactful and beautiful in a way, too, that there's so much more. There's just advocacy stuff is just a little sliver, and there's just so much more out there, and so much more hope, and so much more life, and, it's a heavy topic, too. It's a really heavy topic, and probably not one I'm navigating super well either. But I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. So I probably will not finish watching her video, because I just probably won't. But I'm gonna wait till other people talk about it, and then I'll probably talk about it. I'm gonna add a little bit more to this video, and then I'll fully sign off on back again. Just gonna finish off a couple points. Probably not that many, because I want to end this video pretty soon. I guess maybe we'll talk coping strategies. I think that might be a good way, especially because this video was kind of heavy. So I think honestly it's a good lesson in my recovery, I guess we could say, is me getting 5 minutes into Careia's video and being like, no, I'm out. Because I feel like, again, unless there was more later after 5 minutes and 45 seconds, it didn't really seem super trigger warned, by the way. And then it also was really like vague and stuff too, because she included like 2 methods within like 5 minutes, and it's like, dude, like, it's questionable, and dangerous, and unethical, and problematic, and wild. And I just had to stop. So I practiced, I think, self-respect in that sense. And maybe, or is it self-efficacy? I already forgot. I did a group about it recently. But I practiced some recovery excellence, because I was like, nope, I can't watch this, and I'm just gonna take myself out of this situation and go do something else. And I went and ate dinner, which was helpful. And other things I'm gonna do, I'm actually starting to feel tired, I think, so that's good. I am going to continue to have my iced water. I find ice cubes are super helpful. When I've been in either the ER or like the hospital, like psych hospital setting, sometimes what I'll do is like they'll have like the ice chips, and so I'll like hold it in my mouth and then just kind of like let it melt, and then especially if I want to do like extra mindfulness with it, that would be good. So let's try it. Kind of like notice that temperature of it. It reminds me of snow. I could bite it, but I'm not going to. Let it melt, let it ground me. You know, it makes me think of snow, lying in the snow, sledding, a seasonal lighthouse. Now it's fun. Hooray, we made it. I also, something I can do, because we're in the coping strategies phase, which apparently I'm just going to do this. This is going to be part of the video. But I actually really I got this notebook sort of thing. It has actually staples in it, which is why we can't give it to the patients. But it's this green thing. I think I might do something on the outside of it sometime. But I have actually song lyrics from something. I think they're in here. Yes, they are. I have song lyrics from Better Days by Dermot Kennedy, because I really, really, really love that song. And actually that was one of the songs I think I mentioned in my recovery check-in video, where this was one of the songs that really helped. So I'll read you some of the lyrics. I'll probably include the song sometime for, even though I'll get copyright flagged for it, I'll include it sometime in a new video. So the first little bit says, better days are coming if no one told you. I hate to hear you crying over the phone, dear. When the night feels like forever, I'll remember what you said to me. I know you've been hurting, waiting on a train that just won't come. The rain, it ain't permanent, and soon we'll be dancing in the sun. We never miss the flowers until the sun's down. We never count the hours until they're running out. You're on the other side of the storm now. You should be so proud. And better days are coming for you. So actually that one too, that lyric, I started working on a drawing, mainly with crayons so far, but I haven't worked any further on it. But it's actually like a giant hill and this person, and it's actually inspired from Who Are You in a Storm? So I'm going to draw like storm clouds up here, but then it's also going to say that lyric, you're on the other side of the storm now, you should be so proud. So that's something that I plan to do at some point. Other lyrics that were helpful from this, yes, your story's gonna change, just wait for better days. You've seen too much of pain, now you don't even know that your story's gonna change, just wait for better days. I promise you I won't let go. So I adore that song. It's such a good song, and so light and so impactful and helpful. And again, too, something that when I am struggling a lot, like I tend to listen a lot to 1-800-273-8255. And I also can listen to like Trust Me Mate by Dean Lewis, which is actually helpful because I have a video that I paired with that song on my channel, which was helpful. And then Tom Walker's Leave a Light On, which is part of the outro song now, when I rebranded. Other thing. That's like 2 coping skills right there, I think, right? Music, ice. Ooh, I can show you the books that I took out today. Because no, you already know I did the video book review. So I looked at it before, The Art of Good Habits. And it's a little non-fiction book, so that's one of my newer books. I also took out this novel. Oh, it doesn't have a thing on it. Weird. This novel that I've actually taken a photo of before, which I vaguely remembered, but didn't totally. This is called Up High in the Trees by Kiara Brinkman. So that will be a fiction book that I eventually read. And then also The Art of Good Habits is by Nathalie W. Herman. And then one more book is this one. I actually saw this one before. And I got to take it out. Clean My Space, which is super adulting and super helpful. And this is by Melissa Maker. So those are the 3 books I took out. I'm gonna work on, I've been working on time management kind of stuff lately, and I found that oh shit, is it really almost 10? Oh my gosh. It is 10:51, that is so late. Yeah, I gotta get myself. I gotta dump out the rest of myself. Dump myself out. I'm so tired. I've been listening to Daylight by David Kushner a lot. And I've been like having it kind of on like a low volume and just falling asleep to that at night. I think I might try to do one more activity before I go fully transition to go to sleep. Probably coloring, maybe? I don't want to do painting or anything. Maybe I'll take out my Ohuhu markers and I'll just work on a coloring page. I could actually grab a coloring page. Let me grab it. I'm gonna grab from this coloring book. I think maybe this one. I might do this one. If I'm really fancy, I can do it as a video itself. Ooh, that might be fancy. And I think that's probably pretty good. I gave you a whole bunch of coping strategies. You saw me do them, that kind of thing. If you liked this kind of like additional coping strategies, like do a coping strategy with me. Pick a coping strategy, do it with me. Coping strategies, you gotta practice them when you're doing well. Because when you're not doing well, it'll be kind of in the front of your mind to do them. So you gotta practice them when you're well, not just when you're not doing well. That's something that I've learned. Something I've learned, something I've taught. And yeah, I'm gonna head out. So thank you so much for watching. This was a very long video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay safe. I genuinely mean that. Stay safe. Much love and light. Much love and light to you. And what are your thoughts on this subject matter? Be safe in the comments. Please do not say anything specific of suicide methods, eating disorder numbers, any like self-harm stuff. I mean, you can like specify like what type of, I mean, there's like hundreds, well, maybe not hundreds, but there's so many different forms of self-harm. So like you could mention like, you know, restrictive eating or something, but you don't have to go into like specifics of it. Or like scratching or headbanging, that kind of thing. And then 988 in the US for mental health emergencies. Even just calling if you're concerned about someone, that's fine too. Or home or start to 741. I'll link the Reddit page where that's all also on there, on Careia subreddit. I'll link them in the description. If you are, what is your favorite coping skill? And what is one coping skill you can try before the end of the week, whatever week this is on that you're watching? And let me know in the comments what you thought. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed, or if you just want to hear me ramble sometime, because I definitely talk a lot. And I think that's pretty good. So I'm gonna actually film myself doing this because that's been helpful. So I'll film a little bit of coloring, I'll play some music or whatever. Okay, I'm so tired. Thank you so much. Stay safe, be well. Do take care of yourselves. You are worth it, and life gets better.
Guiding like a lighthouse to